Do you want to do the song or no? No song.
I'm not much of a song guy. Appreciate the offer.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry. I'm not
wouldn't be good for the microphone. You know what I mean?
I'm not forcing anybody. Adam, thank you so much for jumping on the mic. I know we chatted briefly on DMs and then we had a phone conversation. Right. We had a great conversation on the phone, and I was excited about doing this show because you've got a few things to share.
Yep.
We agreed on a lot of things, and then that's here we are. That's it. So, I mean, you're an assistant site super.
That's correct, yeah.
You can reach out to Adam, and it's Bernardi, right?
That's correct, Bernardi.
And your Instagram handle is under Bernardi_713. That's the extent of it. But we're basically going to talk about today's workforce. We're going to talk about today's job sites. We're going to talk about construction in general. And you're a young guy coming into the industry, but you got an old mentality.
Right.
When I say old, I mean you want to see the potential behind construction.
Correct.
Then instead of just punching the clock, you're not interested in punching the clock.
No, never was, never will be.
No, you want to actually make a good change for construction, right?
That's right.
And you see the potential behind everything. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter what trade it is. Doesn't matter if the executives. Doesn't matter what project.
Right.
It's really about making the construction industry a lot better than what it is right now. There's always room for improvement.
That's right.
That's the intro. That's the beginning part. I'm not wearing anybody. I'm wearing all TCL swag right now. That's what I'm wearing.
Perfect.
So Adam, how young are you? First of all,
I'm 27.
When did you get first started?
Started when I was 21, so I did 4 years of honorary degree at George Brown College. So I did it in construction management. So did that right out of high school, graduated when I was 21, worked for a general contractor for first year. I left them after a year because I was just a project coordinator at first, so more like the paperwork side wasn't really my thing. They gave me a chance to be on site, did it for a month, loved it, and I said I kind of want a bit of a change of pace. So I went to a company in high-rise, did that for about 2 years, and then I went back to my old company, actually.
How did you find the company in high-rise? Or they found you? Or
it was actually through a friend of mine. He told me they were hiring, and he was working actually at a job site across the street from me. So I said, you know what, I'll give it a shot. I get to see my buddy. Let's do it. Let's try it, right? I had nothing to lose. Again, just graduated, about a year into it.
Were you intimidated?
A bit.
I mean, I would still be intimidated showing up on a high-rise project like that, right?
Yeah, like I think it was about 32 stories. It was a big project. I wasn't on site that heavily, so that was kind of most of the big scare. I was in the office for about a year prior to that. So trying to get used to the fact of actually going to a high-rise and kind of being like, I haven't done it before, something I want to try. It was scary for a little while. I'll say the first month was definitely the scariest.
Well, you're just trying to get a lay of the land, right? Like you want to understand how this is, and then get a grasp of it. That's what you want to do, right?
Right. And like I was used to maybe having 10, 15 guys on a site with my old company, and then when I went to this other company that I'm averaging 250 guys on a site. So like how you think changes, right? And for me, like I came from, like as you were saying before, like an old school background where you got to go as hard as you can all the time. You got to put the pressure on, but pressure with 10, 15 guys on a site versus 250 is drastic, and it changes how you think, how you act, how you walk, how you talk.
Is there like a verge for mutiny?
Sorry?
Like, is there a possibility of mutiny? When I say that, I mean that the mob influences how you react to them, even though you're working with them.
Yes.
And I call them a mob, not in a negative manner. I'm just saying strength by numbers. 250, 250, like think about it, 250 people. That's a lot of people. Right. We grew up in high school classrooms where 30 people or something like that. So you get a grasp of what 250 tradespeople are all about, whether they're young, old, or whatever. And now you got you coming in there working with them to try to figure out how to run this ship. That kind of is a little intimidating, right?
Yeah, it was. And especially that was at a forming stage. So again, like I'm kind of looking at it where it's in the rough stage. So, you're working with guys that they've been doing it for 20 plus years, 25 plus years. And me, I never told them I was doing it for one, because I'm not going to bring up the school background either, because that's also, I don't want them to think of me any differently. And that was a big thing for me was I just came into it just saying, listen, I'm here to work. I'm here to work with you. Some guys were more susceptible than others. Some trades were a bit more hesitant. Some of them were a bit more appreciative of it, right? I think that was the hardest thing to try to understand was I'm here to help. Some guys are basically saying, like, go fuck yourself. Like,
did they size you up right away?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like...
Majority of them?
I would say about a good 70% of them. Like, right off the bat.
Just because of the fact that you're new face, young...
Right.
New guy.
Right. And, like, yeah, I got the technical knowledge, you can say, But again, in this job that I've been doing for this long, it doesn't matter about where you went to school. That's why I tell people it doesn't matter how much you know. It comes down to how long you've been on a site, how long have you worn those hard boots for, and how long you could actually adapt that into what you're doing. Because some guys would tell me things and I'd be like, I didn't go look at the drawing. It's like, well, no, this is how it's done on site, right? And trying to kind of make that correlation was kind of difficult for a long time, actually. Like, that was a big, big obstacle.
For you?
For me, exactly. And it's just kind of like, I went into it at first being like, okay, I got a set of drawings that I follow and I have to implement on site.
Of course. But
Trey's like, well, no, I've been doing it this way where I can still achieve the same goal, but in a different way. And for me to kind of understand that, well, it's like, no, the sequence is ABC, but they do it 1, 2, 3. So it's trying to kind of understand how they think towards how I'm trying to think about it. Because they've been doing it, like, as I said, like, they've been doing it longer, but they have a better grasp on to make it go faster, smarter, for lack of better words, right? And it's something that it took me a while to kind of really adapt to. And it's tricky because, I had that site there, had a very old school super. He would look at the drawings, obviously, but he was very big on walking that job and really understanding, like, hey, like, we got to do it this way. And I say, well, the drawing and spec says this. He's like, no, but we're going to do it this way because I'm going to achieve it faster and much more, like, accepted to do it this way than the way you're thinking of it. And that in the first, I would say, year and a half was the most tricky part of me actually trying to get, like, everyone on my side, which was pretty difficult at first, right?
But you're trying to marry the two schools.
Right.
Because I know that construction, for the most part, is always one school. And I personally think that you need the marriage of both schools. I think you need new ideas, new things, new coming into the site is a good thing on site. It's not a bad thing on site. We're not trying to change them completely as an individual. We're just trying to make construction better. That's what you're trying to do, right?
Oh, exactly. And, like, I know we spoke this before too about, like, what school teaches you to what actually being on site is. Because I got a very systematic approach in school. It's in order. You don't break the sequence.
Yep.
You stay that route. But on site, they don't tell you that there's 1,600 phone calls happening per day that will guide you into 800. I'm going down this avenue, that avenue, but I'm not actually trying to achieve what I need to achieve. And they don't really kind of teach you that. And, like, that's something that, like, I want to bring up today, where people have to really understand how the day-to-day site operations work versus what you're taught in school. Because I think there's not a very good correlation between what schools are teaching you and actually what is, and what is being taught on site.
Why doesn't the school make the school more construction site relevant?
Well, like in my program, for example, we did a co-op. It was 4 months. So that was your exposure.
What was the amount of hours per week that you were allowed to?
40 hours a week.
Okay.
And the issue with my program, which is kind of more an issue on me, but it was a construction management program. So you're more looking into project coordinator, assistant project manager, a construction manager. Like, that's the idea of what the program's trying to show. But when I'm there, it's, we learned in that realm, like, in just paperwork heavy, change orders, schedules, implementation of meetings, like, all that kind of stuff.
Did you like all that stuff?
I enjoyed the theory of it. I didn't actually enjoy doing it. So when I was...
But it was necessary.
It was necessary. It was definitely necessary. And I'll never take it back because it's always just good stuff to know, great knowledge, and it's kind of shaped me how I am today. But for me, it wasn't the best of enjoyment of something I want to do every single day. I just found that being on the site all day and actually interacting with people, I found was much more like I can appreciate that more for me.
Was it more productive?
Yes. I would say definitely being on a site, you feel way more productive, in tune, in sync with everything. I think a lot of people don't really seem to see that either. That, I met a lot of project managers where it's like, they could run a job from an office, but they don't understand, like, what we're trying to explain to them. I find that's a big, a disconnect or correlation. That was a big issue. And especially for me, where it's, I started to get the groove of being on site, that I'm trying to use all that school knowledge and say, okay, what could I use to incorporate? I use some of it. I would say not all of it. Like, that was kind of a big factor for me.
But that's a good thing to look at it that way. Like, I mean, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel as if there's more resistance on site trying to implement new ideas than there is the new ideas trying to understand what site will be like. when this is presented to them.
Right, and I totally agree with you, because it's like the school structure, I think, is good, but when you're on that job site, it's just that there's almost like an industry standard that is not really taught in school. Like, you're taught a construction standard, site is an industry standard. Like, there's a certain way of doing concrete, embeds, steel. There's certain applications doing things in a certain way that in school it sounds logical, it sounds right, and which it still is right, but being on that job site, it's a totally different tune of your brain trying to think about how to actually do it and construct it, right? And I think that's something that it wasn't really taught so much in school. It was more kind of like, this is like your baseline, make of it as you wish. But for me, it was that going in there, that was the biggest culture shock from going from school to site, especially that was a huge shock in just terms of how you think and how you operate.
But did school ever, listen, I'm not going to paint a pro and con from both sides. That's not the objective here with this show and this conversation. The objective is like, I wanted to get a grasp of and an understanding of what the school is starting to build and develop for the new future workforce that's going to eventually show up on site, and then try to understand if the on site is not embracing these new ideas. Because I think it's if the school doesn't grasp how the site is working and the site doesn't understand new ideas will make their lives easier, then both sides will lose.
Correct.
And we don't want that. We want both sides to win. So I know that site people will look at school and go, well, you guys have no clue on what it means Mother Nature to mess with us, and all of a sudden the mix shows up incorrectly, and then we have to speak with the yard to try to figure out how to fix the next few loads or whatever. Like, they'll get onto that whole thing. That's not expressed on the school side of things, because they don't understand that. But then you'll get frontline work, like let's say just boots on the ground on site going, I'll make this work even though it's not correct.
That's right.
Versus school will come in going, this is the correct way to do it, and then it will work.
Right.
But that's not what we're trying to do here. You're just trying to implement new ideas onto site so then both parties work. Here's my toolbox of tools, ideas, this is what I got, and make it work, please. Can you, and let me know if you have any questions, right?
Right.
So there's still, in today's construction, there's still a disconnect, right? Like there's between the two parties, right?
Absolutely.
And we're trying to eliminate that disconnect. That's what we're trying to achieve here.
Right. Right. And like even just like how you said it, like there is a huge disconnect, but it's what I've tried to learn and truly understand is how could I make that whole idea of us not understanding each other to a point where we can understand each other and still achieve the same goal? Because I still believe that, in theory, that there's still stuff in school that we were taught that could still be used on site. But it's people that, you know, either that they didn't go through it or they didn't understand it or they didn't see it, that it's like, well, it's very hard for me to actually show them and express that to them, because it's, again, it's the years of experience. It's really going back to it and being like, well, I've been doing this for so long. Like, why are we changing it now?
Yeah, but here's a question for you, Adam. Like, if you tell the school, if you tell the worker on site, get rid of what I look like and get rid of how old I am and get rid of the years of experience that I have, how are you going to answer my question now?
Right. And
I think they will answer the question.
Yeah.
Because I think they're hindering too much on these visual cues that's making them form an opinion on how to address this. Correct. When if you get rid of all that shit, and I was an old timer coming on this site here and I was talking to you and I was presenting these exact same words, how would you speak with me? Right. You would collaborate with me to solve the problem. No?
Right. And like, I'll even give you like an example. Like, there was multiple times when I was on slab downtown and I would go up to a trade and say, I need this done, this done, this done.
Okay.
Kind of shoo me off. But I had a super that was over 60 years old. He would say in the exact same tone, exact same wording, exact same idea, yeah, sure, man, no problem, done.
That's the problem.
And that's a huge problem, because did I say anything different? Was the theory different?
No.
Was the application different? No. But they look at him and they probably think, okay, he's been doing it a while, he knows. And at that time, no, I wasn't doing it for a long time. But I still believed in myself that I know what I'm talking about, I know what I need to do, and I know how to get this job done. But just because I'm 35 years younger than him, the same message, it just doesn't, like, people don't understand it. It's like, well, I think that they actually understand it. I just think they just don't want to accept it, because it's like, well, you're just a kid.
If you are a business owner, subcontractor, or client, you know that trust in this industry is huge, and Contract App helps build that. Not only do they get a solid contract for your projects, they built in an e-signature tool for you and your clients. The contract dashboard also has a digital live log that records every step of the project, plus a rate and review system for both the contractor and the client. This means more transparency and accountability for everyone. Stop running your business on an estimate and a handshake. Protect yourself with Contract App. Book your free demo or sign up today at www.contractapp.ca and use promo code TCL to get your first month for free. This message is proudly supported by The Construction Life.
I was 21.
Yeah, but everybody's just a kid.
Exactly.
When they get started. And plus, with a lot of new tech in construction, it is almost everybody's first time. Right. I get it that you might have a slight advantage if you got 30 years experience doing construction in general. But if there's a new wheelhouse coming in, then it's still your first time doing it the same way it's the first time for the young kid doing it. So we're on the same playing field, no?
Exactly.
Or am I just simplifying it too much?
No. And like, I totally agree, because all these guys at one point, they started somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's what bugs me the most. It's that, like, I don't think you guys should be, taking other people down, especially people who are younger, or treating them differently, because you were in that boat too. Everybody was 21 at some point, 31. Like, we all went through life. Okay, maybe you weren't in construction, or maybe you were, maybe you weren't, maybe you do something else. But we all had that point where either you were out of school, you're in the workforce, you're just trying to learn, you're trying to figure it out. And I was really lucky and appreciative that first job I was on, I'd agreed super, where very old school, older, but he took me under his wing. He showed me. And he actually used to tell me, he's like, Adam, you don't sleep with them at night, they don't pay your bills, they don't sign your checks. So you tell them as if it's me. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And they have to respect your title.
Yep.
You're an assistant superintendent. Like, they have to respect the title. Doesn't matter that maybe, if you made a mistake, it's fine. We fix it. But they make mistakes every day.
Of course.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
So they have to learn to accept that, guys, like, this is how the job site runs. Like, there's a hierarchy, like there's a chain of command, right? And I never put that down on people. Like, I never try to treat people any differently. Like, that I have a role of authority that it's like, you have to do what I say all the time. No. Like, as you were saying before, I want to make that correlation where we could all work together. Because I'm learning every day just as much as they are. Because even people in their 60s and 70s, they're still learning too.
Of course.
Right? But it's just that understanding of the application of opening like your brain and saying, okay, like, I'll learn with you, I'll work with you. And like, I have to admit, in the past couple of years, it has gotten a little bit better, where people are more understanding of younger people in the industry. Still not where I prefer to be personally. But like I was saying before, I had a good super that really showed me, like, don't be afraid, go for it. Like, they're not on the same bed as you, just go for it. Like, they won't hurt you, they're not going to harm you. But at the end of the day, you have a command. And you got to show them.
Are you still getting the resistance even from the young trades?
From guys around my age and younger, give or take, let's say.
They kind of relate a little bit better too?
They relate. They're a bit more open.
Okay.
There's a lot of young guys I see just in trades like plumbing, mechanical, electrical, 21, 22. They're in their apprenticeships. They're still learning. Hey man, good morning. How are you? Can I ask you a quick question? I'll definitely open the conversation for them. Like, and I truly appreciate that, because I was them 6 years ago. Like, I wasn't the trade, but I was in that same age, that same understanding where you're just learning, right? And it didn't matter what job those guys are in, I'll help them, because I had help, and I always want to, push that forward, because there's a lot of good kids in the industry still. Like, I find it's becoming harder and harder to find good quality kids and younger people to do it, but there's still ones there. Like, I'm on a site where I see tons of young guys, and they're working hard, they're pushing, they want to learn, like, virtually no attitude. They're just, teach me, I want to learn. And, some of them get upset when they make, like a mistake or a fuck up or whatever it is. I said, guys, like, we're human. We all make mistakes.
Everybody.
I make mistakes every single day. That's what I tell people, every day. And I have 2 rules. It's honesty and effort. If you're honest with me, saying, Adam, listen, this is a situation, I made a mistake. Something happened. Okay, it's fine. Like, we'll deal with it. Like we have a day today to work. Tomorrow, sun's still going to shine. We're all going to get up. We're all going to come to the same place tomorrow. We'll deal with it. Don't worry about, schedules and costing and, my boss this, my boss that. It's okay. We deal with it. And that's what I'm trying to portray to people, is we need to accept that. It's like the old school is still there where, yes, you got to push, you got to, the job's got to get done no matter what. But I think there has to be a little bit more understanding with people younger getting into it, especially if you're doing, like an apprenticeship, your first time on site, maybe ordering concrete or rebar. I think they need that attitude to be, like accepted and nurtured and being like, okay, like I feel comfortable. Because I don't know about you, but for me, like if I'm scared on the job site, I'll make more mistakes. I won't ask questions. I'm not going to, I'm not going to do what I think is best because I feel like there's someone either, over my shoulder or there's someone not giving me that time of day. And for me, it's like when those kids come to me, they ask me very simple questions sometimes, and sometimes even stuff too. It's way more complex, but I hear them out. I listen. I try to show them a way to do it. And there's some foremen that who've actually come up to me in the past and said, "Hey, I really appreciate you showing them." I say, "Absolutely." I said, because 6 years ago, somebody showed me too. And
that's how it works, right? Like it just, I go back to the analogy of if you weren't young looking and you weren't so-called inexperienced, they wouldn't speak to you that way.
Right.
But the thing is, how else do you attract more people into this industry if you don't get them younger into this industry? Mm-hmm. And regarding, that's not how we're going to do it. We've been doing it for X amount of years. This is how we should do it. Right. I look at that worker going, it's a simple question of, okay, do you want to make an enemy of this person or do you want to make a friend of this person? Right. Because you're going to probably cross paths again on future projects. And if it's a high-rise project, guess what? It's multiple floors that have to be done. So there's going to be more conversations that we have to work together to make this happen. I'm not trying to step on your toes. I'm trying to work with you. But if you already close down the young coming in, then you're making an enemy of the person, which is just going to create more resistance down the line, which doesn't benefit you.
Right. And, like going with the way the job market is right now, the industry in general, like we need young people.
Yeah.
Like I don't care if you're a super, if you're a plumber, you're a laborer, it doesn't matter. The principle's still the same because like people in their 50s and 60s, they got 5-10 years left. That's it. And someone has to take on the throne. And I've met quite a few people that I believe are capable of it.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of people that have that capacity to do it. And I just think that people have to understand that you're going to be done soon. You got a certain amount of time left. Why don't you spend that time after your years of grinding and pushing, show these young people what you learned. Show them. Because when you're 70, 80 years old, your toilet goes, your plumbing goes in your house.
You're calling a young person.
Exactly. You're calling somebody young. And you want them to have the same pride and understanding and joy and knowledge that you did. Because, maybe you could have done it yourself 20, 30 years ago. But now you're not at that stage anymore. Now you have to rely on our generation to push everything forward. And especially how jobs are being built now where like there's so much going on in them now. Like they're not just, 4 squares in a box. Like now it's changing. It's going to a point where, architects and designers are making these buildings much more intricate. But I think the principles still don't change, which is something that I try to show people is there's still a design, there's still a schedule, there's still a goal. So you still have to hit that goal. But why don't we try to show younger people what's a better way to get to that goal? Because in my opinion, if you've been doing it for 40 years, I think you learned a thing or two.
I'd love to do an experiment, man. I don't know how it would be possible to do it, but if you build 2 towers right next to each other and one tower's all old school guys and one tower's all young school guys, I wonder how the towers would turn out.
I actually thought of that one time. And it's
Did
funny.
you?
Yeah, it's actually funny you said that because I think that would be very interesting. I think that would be a great experiment because
I think there's pros and cons to both towers.
There is, but I actually think they both come out quite similar.
Yeah.
I think in schedule, costing, I think there's just different ideas on both ends of it that will get you a similar product. I'm not saying they'll be the exact same day of finishing, but I think the implementations will be very similar. Just a different way of going about it.
Yeah.
Right? I think the old school, it's more on your phone. Ring everybody up, call them. Like I see a lot, like even me, I use texting, voice notes. I speak to my phone all day. People think I'm psycho. I just talk to my phone all day. Send out messages. Like I'm more about like tracking it. I want everything on documentation, on record. But, still make my phone calls. But I think there's different approaches of getting things done where, like my old supers, for example, they would just draw a sketch. Figure it out. Me, I go on Bluebeam, AutoCAD, Revit, draw it up, mark it up, exact dimensions, right down the millimeter. But we're still achieving the same thing.
Yeah.
But the implementation, how we're doing it is just different. but it still achieves the same thing. So I think an experiment like that would be actually very interesting, because I think they won't come out very far different.
I agree with you. I think it'd be exactly like that. And then I think maybe you do a third tower where both collaborate now. And then that actually might be the winner, where it gets finished a lot faster with the fewest amount of deficiencies. And that's the whole point I'm trying to say here, is that both schools have to work together to make this happen, right?
That's right.
But yeah, I mean, there's an argument for old school, there's an argument for young school.
Exactly.
But there's a bigger argument to make for both of them working together.
Right. And especially, I think the next 10 years will be crucial, because
Yeah.
a lot of them are weeding out. And if they give young people a chance now, and if owners of companies understand that, architects, developers, our communities, people like see that and hold it tight and say, you know what, let's show them, because they're what's coming up next, right? Like, no one's around here for the rest of their life. No one's going to be here for 200 years. So like, let's show people who are capable and want it, that deserve it. I think that's a big, I think it's a big thing that's going to happen.
There was a saying that you shared, which I actually totally love, was you're a super is there to protect the job at all costs.
Correct. To protect the integrity of the job at all costs.
Yeah, and the integrity of the job. That was somebody that told you, or you came up with that?
I came up with that myself. It's just like an idea, or like a mentality that I kind of live by. It's, you as a superintendent, when you're on site, everything comes down to you. It doesn't matter if it's health and safety, if it's drawings, if it's just day-to-day bullshit, everything comes to you. But your main goal beyond everything is to protect the integrity of everything. So that's money, that's time, that's people, that's health, that's the job site, that's, if it's the I don't know, sorry, like a town, right? Like, like a Toronto, or just anybody, or just people just who are just on the street.
Yeah.
Like, everybody matters at that point.
Yeah.
Right. And it's,
everybody that is there for a purpose, right?
Exactly.
And they're contributing to an outcome.
That's right.
Yeah.
And what I've learned is, at the end of the day, like, everything matters, and everything has to come through me. So you being a superintendent, it's understanding too that you got to make sometimes very tough calls that may hurt the job, that may help the job, but you're always there to protect the integrity of it.
Yep.
So everything you do, I've made calls where it's hurt the job. I'll be straight up, it's hurt the job. But my thinking and rationale and my heart never changes, that I'm there to protect it. So I made that call knowing that I wanted the best interest for this job. And there's multiple times where I've made calls where actually things went well. Things actually worked, right? And it's trying to get everybody to be on your side. Like, there's calls I make with trades where they're like, you're insane. Why? Why would you do that? Right? Mm-hmm. And I try to tell them I'm protecting the integrity of the job. I say that same line to everybody. I'm protecting it, because at the end of the day, you could do it your way. It may not help the job in the long run, but I'm doing it to protect that job, because, like, we have clients, we have owners that we got to present this job to, and I got to make sure that this job doesn't suffer because of other people, trades, outsiders, however you want to think about it, right? And it's just crazy, because it's tough sometimes. Like, I've told many people that, I will overthink my calls all the time. Did I make the right call? Is it the best? But what brings me back down to earth is saying, you know what, I'm protecting the job. And I don't really care what happens to me, anything else. It's making sure the job moves. It makes money. It's on time. It's on schedule. And I can give a sheet of paper to the client saying, here's your occupancy.
Don't they, like, the workforce in general, don't they realize how valuable for a job to run a certain way is for future projects? Because obviously there's eyes on, they may feel as if there's no eyes on site because you don't see the suits on site with the brightly lit white brand new hard hats, right? Yeah. As often as you would think you would see them. Yeah. But they're still paying attention. And when the job is finished and all the numbers and the final assessment of that project is done, there's going to be key things that are spotlighted.
Right.
And then when their future project comes along, they're going to be like, we want that builder, that team, that super, we want them to take care of this project. Right. Because in the same respect, if you don't work together as a team, we don't want that builder. We don't want that team. We don't want that super.
Yep.
Because of this shit show that we saw here. We want A team. We don't want the D team or whatever. So don't they realize that? Like, I don't, or do they?
I think they do. I just think that, especially from a trades perspective, if you're just doing plumbing, you just care about plumbing.
It's not on their radar.
It's not on their radar. Like, they're not thinking of it. Like, they're not asking the right questions. They just say, you know what? I'm installing stacks. That's it.
Bathtub Mike kind of mentality, right?
Right.
They just come in and take care of that one detail.
And that's it. And then if I got, HVAC crossovers, I got fire alarm interferences, they don't care. It's like, no, my stack drawing calls for it here. But my big thing to a lot of trades is like, the trades work for me. In reality, I work for the trades. And that's a big thing I try to like tell people is that I work for you more than you work for me. Because if you have a problem, talk to me about it. Like, let's open a conversation, because what you may do is going to affect somebody else down the line.
Looking for a roof that lasts and a team you can trust? Call Homestar Roofing, your local family-run roofing experts. From shingles to cedar, slate to metal, flat roofs to skylights, they do it all. Residential or commercial, big or small, need roof repairs, consulting, soffit, fascia, gutters, or eavesdrops? They've got you covered, literally. With affordable pricing and a reputation for quality, Homestar Roofing is building roofs and building trust, one project at a time. Visit them on social at homestar_roofing or visit them online, www.homestarroofing.ca, or even call them at 647-380-0625 for your free quote today. That's homestarroofing.ca, where your roof is their reputation. This message is proudly supported by the Construction Life. What are they afraid of? They're afraid of voicing?
I think it's voicing, but I think too is that nowadays everybody's big on paperwork, contracts, where it's like, I have a drawing, I follow it, and that's it.
I know, but the drawings are never
they're
1,000% perfect.
Never. And there's not one single project I've ever worked on my entire life where drawings were 100%.
Yeah.
It'll never happen, to be honest with you, because we're human, people make mistakes.
Yeah.
So it's not going to happen. But for me to get past that is I try to tell them like call me right away. Like, let's talk about it. Because if you see 2 sleeves in the slab and it's for fire alarm and you deliberately put duct over it, like, you saw that, you know that. And the funny part for me is that when I go on site and I see that and I question them, pull out my measuring tape and I point, I'm like, did you not see that? Oh, well, my drawing says this. I said, okay, but like, why can't we not have a conversation? So what I usually do on the spot, like my tactic is when I see problems like that, I call all the foremen who are in that zone. So if the HVAC's hurting plumbing and electrical, I want the electrical foreman there and the HVAC and the HVAC foreman there. I want them to see, guys, there's interference.
Yeah.
I can sketch it out. Like, let's come up with an idea that works for everybody. Because my thing too is the paperwork always catches up. I'd rather make a decision on site with the team saying on like how to build process, this is the best way to do it. And when they say, okay, we're gonna move this here, we're gonna record here, we're gonna move this here, and we can still keep everything intact, perfect. I usually like to draft something up, send it to the architect or the consultant, whoever's involved. This is the plan of operation. Do you approve? If not, I'm going ahead with it because I need to keep moving. But I think a lot of these trades are scared of the more paperwork coming out, and they basically have to do more work. I think that's a big thing is that, I just got like a site instruction. I got to reroute all this.
Yeah, but that's short-term thinking.
Right.
You have to think about the overall project, like floor after floor. And I guess, do most construction projects rely on deficiencies later on in the end game? To come back and then take care of, and then, we can get a little bit political about delaying payment processes for certain sub-trades where they don't maybe speak up because then all of a sudden, I know you're going to have to come back and I don't have to pay you until this is taken care of.
Right.
Shit happens. I get it.
Yep.
But being done on purpose, I don't know.
Like, I think for them that, especially in high rise where the jobs move at such a rapid pace, they're like, well, I just spent 12 man hours with 2 guys at 6 hours a piece doing this. Now I got to rip it down and redo it. And I feel like saying that, like, guys, like, you have to understand that this 6 hours you spent now will cost me 80 down the road. And then we're going to be at the end of the job fighting who takes on what cost, for what reason, to what SI, to what drawing, to who said what, to sign off on this. Like, let's alleviate it, because most guys on site, like, they don't want to deal with the paperwork. And I get it. Like, I totally understand, because I don't like dealing with a lot of paperwork either. But there's also processes in place where let's have the conversation. I could propose this to all the consultants, say, listen, this is the plan of attack. Tell me yes or no. Like, there's some things where I say, guys, like, you know what? This is the plan. Let's go ahead. Let's do it.
Yeah.
More on the minor things where it's not affecting usually fire alarm. I don't like touching mechanical systems. I don't like screwing around with too much. Like corridors, elevators, that kind of stuff. I more go into depth. Okay, guys, I'm going to draft this up. Let me send it out. Let's get an idea going. But hold off on that for now. But smaller stuff, I tell them, you know what? Here's my sketch. Go ahead. Approved by me. Let's go. And most guys say, yeah, no problem. And we'll go ahead. Because now that just alleviated paperwork. Because now like, okay, you know what? I have a direction. I've submitted that also to the consultant saying, guys, this is how we're going to move forward. If any objections, please let me know. And again, that's more on a minor scope. But on bigger stuff, I more hear them out and say, okay, what do you think is best? Because there's a lot of times I look at drawings and the consultants tell me to do it this way. And I'm like, it doesn't work. Like, like 1 + 1 does not equal 2 now. Like, you're not making sense.
I know, but I go back to the perception of you're young and inexperienced. Are they saying, why don't we try this instead of this? Because they want to just get it done and they don't care about the end result of it. Trying to get things done fast and quick is not the solution to everything in construction. No, that creates problems down the line.
Correct. But there has to be a thinking and understanding behind it, where it's, if we do it this way, are we going to save time? Are we going to save cost? Are we going to get ahead? Or, as I said, like on bigger things where it's like, okay, let me get consultants involved. Like, let me have a site walk.
But if it's being rushed to get done quickly just so you can get out of there sooner, then that's not the objective.
No, exactly that. And like, if it's small enough where it's like, okay, we're going to move forward and everyone's in agreement, sure. But I'm talking minor things of like, maybe moving a pot light over.
Simple.
There's a trap for a drain. Like, we can kind of move the 90 over a little bit. Like, I can play with those kind of things. Like, that stuff too, it's more like an on-site call, right?
Yeah, but I mean, like, Adam, in all fairness, man, that's the trade's responsibility just to do it subconsciously without even asking.
You're right. But when I'm walking...
That's called thinking while you're doing your job.
Exactly.
Right?
But when I walk 200 suites a day and I start seeing a common problem, that's where it's like, I need to pull them in.
Yeah.
Saying, guys, like, when I'm in a suite, I'm going to frame. Usually circle duct goes after.
Yeah.
I like having electrical going after so that my sprinkler heads are not interfering with lights. But some guys that they get too excited that, you know what, I got 4 floors of leadway, I'm going to push, I'm going to go. And they screw up the sequence. So I always try to bring them back down to earth and saying, there's an operation, how to do things. Like, understand it. Because if you go too far ahead, you may be getting your work done, your progress draw is going to go up by 80%. Sick. But you just screwed up 5 other people. Now, my floor leveling guy, he can't go ahead. The grinding guys can't go ahead. I got now floor stuff with drywall. Like, there's so many impacts that they don't care about that they just go ahead and do. Which that's stuff that makes me upset, because it's now when I'm walking suites and I'm seeing the same problem over and over again. Because in high rise, I find the problems are usually typical. Like, they tend to be consistent. So if it's like one, because you have 10 suites, 30 floors up, it's the same. So this one shower, the head keeps interfering with something. Why? And then I start bringing them in, say, guys, like, let's have a conversation, right? And it's hard to get trades to admit that they got to change things. I find it's a big problem too.
They don't want to.
They don't want to. Because
like, nobody wants to. I get it. But if it was done correctly the first time, if it was thought the first time.
Right.
And I get it. It's easier to put the blinders on. You're doing a repetitive action every single floor.
Right.
I understand that. But there's also a possibility of doing it better every single floor.
Exactly.
Have you seen this? There's a meme going around of, like, they set up, I don't know what it was, like 10 stools, 2 rows of 10 stools. Mm-hmm. And one person on the left side, you have to take the stool and put it into a container, right? So the one person on the left side grabs the closest stool to the container and then puts it in, then grabs the second one. And the second guy on the right side goes to the far end and grabs the first stool there and brings it to the container, right? So then one guy starts from the beginning, one guy starts at the end, right? And I knew it already because I've seen the study before. The guy who started at the end finished it before the guy who started at the beginning.
Right.
So and I relate that to construction, where it's like, if you get to the end line by starting the easy way, then you're actually going to make it take longer, unless we look at this and try to figure out what's the best way to do this. Do we start at the hard part? Everybody in trade-wise, when you start construction, for the most part, you always want to try to tackle the easiest portion of it and then work your way to the hardest portion. But I think that starting the hardest will always get you further.
Right.
I think it does.
I agree, because it's truly understanding that if we see the problems now, it's in your brain. You know it's a problem. So why not address it now? We're on floor 9, not on 40.
You can bitch and complain and about whoever engineered, whoever drew it, and that could be able to talk. Do it on lunch break or whatever. I don't give a shit. Do it on social media and share that. But on the site, well, we know what the solution is. We all agree what the solution is. Let's do it.
And actually, I find with most foremans, most trades, that when we come up with a solution on site and everybody's in agreement with it, I don't really see any exchange of money, timesheets, change orders. They just know, okay, he's gonna help me, but I know when the Sparky helps me, HVAC's gonna help me after.
Of course.
And they kind of just pay it forward that way. And that's stuff that I try to like nurture and appreciate. It's like, yeah, I'm totally cool with that. But it's when you just want, like, if you're there just to just smash work all day and have no cause or understanding for anybody else, like, that's where I get upset. It's like, guys, like, we need to work together. Like, we need to understand that there's problems. And I love when a trade says, oh, well, I haven't seen this in 20 years. It makes no sense. It doesn't matter if you haven't seen it. There's new problems that happen every minute of every single day. Like, you tell me you never encountered a problem in HVAC in 20 years? I highly doubt it. I'm highly doubt it. And usually those guys that come to me and say, I've been doing it for 20 years, I can do everything. I think I told you this too. I ignore them. Because
I don't care.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Because, you know, if you've been doing it for 20 years, you could be doing it fucked up for 20 years.
Every project's custom, isn't it? Like,
exactly.
It might look like another building that looks like every other building, but every project is a custom build starting from scratch. Right. You didn't show up with a modular and it's just like IKEA, point A gets connected to point B. No, we have to build this and put it all together. All the material is loose and we have to assemble it. That's right. So we're just trying to be efficient about how we assemble this. That's all it is.
Right. And I tell trades, like the drawings are really just a guide. They guide you into what the intent of the design is. Mm-hmm. So I was actually reading up on it a while ago that they're talking about occupancy. Like, what's the true understanding of occupancy? It's to achieve the intent of the application of design. So you're trying to...
That's the definition?
That's actually a true full-blown idea of it, right?
That's a lawyer.
I was reading up on it a while ago, and I found that, like, amazing because what we're doing every day, we're trying to meet the intent of the design. So if we're building a suite, I got to provide a bathroom, got to provide a kitchen. I need to provide, you know, smoke alarms, fire alarms, smoke detectors. I have to provide a kitchen with a countertop. There's, you know, I have to have, like a range hood. Like, there's things I have to have. And it's trying to get people that when there's these issues on site, like, I need to get that sprinkler head in there. I need to have that fire alarm working. Yeah. I need to have that shower head operational. I need to have 16 inches off the tub for my toilet to sit. Like, that gets me the intent of what is a design. Because they look at a drawing and say, it's wrong. I'm like, that's good. You found out it's wrong. Now I know it's wrong. But you know how to fix it. So we got to chip a sleeve over. We got to make something work. And a lot of those problems too stem from, actually, which I've seen like a lot more, probably the last 2-3 years, between trades, that they try to make kind of like deals with each other. It's like, okay, well, the framer fixed this for me so my sleeve can fit, or my pipe's on an angle and I need it fixed, or can you help me out? That stuff I kind of don't really condone too much. Because I don't know about you, but I don't like trades making like on-site deals because I find it.
But they're motivated by their intentions, not by the building's intention.
That's right. Like,
yeah, I see it. I understand.
Right? Like, they're not thinking about protecting the integrity of the project. Yeah. It's just more like, yeah, fuck, if the framer moves it over 1/4 of an inch, my pipe's in, my MJ band's good, I can cut the clamp back, slap drywall on it, see you later. Like, it's done. But now, if you bumped out that bathroom, I lose my 860 clearance for that hallway for code. Yeah. Now I'm at 855. So now when I go to occupy that suite, this guy's going to pull this tape and be like, you're short 5 mils. And then that's where the true problems start, where you start ripping everything down. Fully finished suites. Like, I'm talking like flooring, walls.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Because of something as minor as that?
Yeah, if I have the new version of the code and I was actually going through it and I'm starting to read through it and starting to understand, like, where's this number coming from? And it's point blank in the code that you need 860 mils clear in a pathway for somebody.
What's that translate to imperial? I don't know.
I think it's about 33 7/8, give or take.
It's 34 inches, huh?
Give or take. I typically try to go 34.
In a hallway clearance?
In a hallway. So any hallway or corridor inside of a suite.
That's tight, man.
It's tight, especially in high rise. It's tight, right? And where that problem stems from is, again, which I've noticed a lot lately, is these trades are making these deals. Help me out, I'll help you out. I have no problem with trades working together, but not when layouts change, when, you know, a demising wall get kicked out, elevator shafts are affected, fire alarm gets abandoned or
because
moved.
these are all fire code issues. They're all building fire code issues, right?
Exactly. And
They have their minimums, right?
Oh, exactly. And I think I told you before too, like I've done, I'm going to say probably 14, 15 occupancy permits by now, give or take, just in high rise. And like when I see things in the rough in stage, like I know like it's going to
Where it's going to happen.
It's going to hurt me. Right. And it doesn't matter. Like there's even like small things where a sprinkler head is supposed to be 4 inches off a wall. So if there's a corner of a wall, you got to be 4 inches away. But some sprinkler guys will just slam it tight to the wall. But it's like, that won't pass code, right? Because it's got to be 4 inches away. It's just in the code. It's written right there. Like it's in a clause.
I know, but
right?
I go back to the trade, who's a fire sprinkler trade. They know better. I wouldn't know that information, but they would know that information. They should know that information.
They do. And I find another big problem in the industry right now is a lot of these big contractors are subbing out everything. So they think about it as, okay, I got 15 runs of plastic pipe, 20 heads in a suite. This guy will do it for $1,000. Even though we're the general contractor of sprinkler, hire him, he'll smash all the suites in a week. And don't get me wrong, I've seen like some crews motor, like smash through suites, smash. But they don't look at those things. It just shows drawing head here, 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 and here. They don't care if it's 4 inches away from the wall, 400 inches away from the wall. They don't care. They just head. It's in the room.
At Maple Overhead Garage Doors, they're not just opening doors, they're opening possibilities. Serving the Greater Toronto Area with top quality garage doors in steel, wood, fiberglass, flush mount, and full view aluminum, Maple delivers style, strength, and satisfaction for both residential and commercial spaces. With years of experience, unmatched craftsmanship, and the next level service, your neighbors will be jealous, but your garage door will speak for itself. Visit www.maplegaragedoors.com. Email them at maplegaragedoors@hotmail.com or even call them at 905-738-9231. Follow them on social at Maple Doors and discover why quality, knowledge, and experience live at Maple. Maple Overhead Garage Doors, built to impress, made to last. This message is proudly supported by The Construction Life. Are you notified that they've subbed it? Or are you just assuming?
Most foremans are open about it. Like they'll tell me, be like, okay, we're doing fire protection and my suite guys are subbed out. Our guys doing all mains and the corridors, they're employed by us. I'm like, okay. Like I don't really think too much of it. Like they do have a right to sub it out and it's their contract and that's fine, right? I do tend to notice though that's where a lot of grip gets lost, is because a lot of these companies are thinking like, hey, like I got my own guys by the hour, but they're costing me, let's say, $10 they're costing me $10 a sheet for drywall. This guy will do it for $3. But now a lot of people don't understand is that there's more management involved into that.
Is that what they're hanging drywall these days for? $10 or $3?
No, I was just using like a number. Actually, yeah, if it's that kind of money, I'm in the wrong job, man.
No, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, because I've heard some horror stories like that. It's that kind of a discrepancy where it's like, why wouldn't you sub it out? But the question is, what quality are you getting at that price point? I mean, back in my early day of construction, I was hearing guys laying tile floor for like $1.50 a square, and I was like, what? Like, what are you talking about, man?
Yeah.
But there was guys laying tile for $1.50, and I was like, what's the quality look like? I never saw the quality of it.
Probably not very good.
I'm just curious, Adam, because I'm sure that you probably have thought about this.
Yeah.
What if you were able to, and it's like a double rainbow situation, all of a sudden you're given carte blanche to actually run the ship in a new way to do it. No resistance whatsoever from the trades. Everybody's on board. How would you tackle that from the start to the end? Is that too big of a question to kind of?
No, it's got multiple parts to it, but
yeah, of course, totally, 100% it does. It would have to.
Yeah, right off the top of my head, from the start, I want to be involved in pre-construction from the very start. I want to know once that job has been awarded, I want the drawings with me for a week. I want to go through everything. I want to start looking at.
And you'll be in contact with that team, which is the design, architect, engineer team.
That's correct.
Regarding all those matters, right?
Some companies have they have like a construction team that just does everything in pre-construction.
Yeah.
So I would be very tight with them, because a lot of these pre-construction sides, like they're good, they plan. But me, the super, I want to know what you're planning and why. Because if I look at a drawing, I interpret it a lot differently. So where the crane's going to go, the hoist is going to go, where my hoist suites are going to be. I want to be involved from the very beginning, because I need to make sure that like, so if a job is set up right, it goes right. If it's not, it's doomed.
Yep.
Right? It's like where stuff goes, how it's going to be done, when, why, who's going to be doing it. Like, I want input on that. And I think that a super, like any super, should be involved from the very dead start. Like, they should actually be the almost person in charge, for that matter. Like, a construction team should come to them and say, what do you think? I think that's very important.
Is the money there in the budget for that? For the most part, no.
Like, if you're a super just consulting, I think so. Like, I think that like that's stuff that's accounted for. Full time, I don't think so, because
it's not line itemed.
Yeah, I don't think it's a line item thing. Like, I think it's that, listen, man, we got this job, Adam.
You got 2 seconds to review the drawing, get on site.
Yeah, like spend the day, come to the office, have a quick peek with the team, shoot the shit, have a coffee, go for lunch, talk about the drawings for an hour and a half, and then we'll just go from there. And then they'll call you here once in a while being, okay, you know what, like...
It's a can of worms, man.
Yeah, like, I think, like, a super should be a vocal point. But also, too, I do get it sometimes, too, because if you're a super, you're busy running another job. So for you to burn off a week for a job or a month, whatever, I get it. But I still think it should be, like, a priority. Because I believe a super's implementation and ideology of how a site's set up is absolutely pivotal. Yeah. It's pivotal.
How you begin is how you're going to end.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think I work with a lot of great supers where the best supers I worked with are like execution style and planning. Like, they can envision that drawing in 3D, and they know where the hoist is going. They know where their loading dock is going to go. They already know where all the pick points are going for the crane. Like, they know. Like, they see it. But like, a lot of these pre-construction teams, a lot of them are good, and I work with some good ones. But I think the downfall to them is that they're not too much on site, so they don't really see, okay, I'll put the hoist here. It's in the center of a column.
They may not even know the city.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, like, they don't even know the city
or the neighborhoods, I should say.
Or the neighborhood, or sometimes too, like, I know when I was working on a job downtown, like, I was near St. Mike's, and there's a flight path. So how you dismantle the crane is going to depend on if St. Mike's will cause a storm for a flight path. And there's a
flight path on St. Mike's on what, Victoria?
It was near Shooter, I believe.
Somewhere flight path there. For who?
It was for the helicopter for St. Mike's Hospital.
Oh, for the yeah.
For the hospital.
The hospital helicopter.
Yeah. Right, and they got their own protocols and procedures.
That makes sense, yeah.
Right, and you know, like, there's certain ways of how you got to plan to take down the crane. Like, there's an operation, right? Like, they literally have like an angle that you can't go higher than that. And it doesn't matter if it's an inch or a mile, you cannot pass it under any circumstance. So it's planning like that, where some supers say, okay, maybe we involve like a helicopter, maybe we involve, you know, keeping the hoist up longer. Like, there's certain planning things that they see that it's like, okay, we're gonna do it this way. But pre-construction, like, you know, like, they see that, but do they really understand what it takes to get it? Because everything costs money, but everything costs time.
Yeah.
In my opinion, being a super, like, a big thing of all this pre-planning, time for me is way more valuable than money. Money we could always get back. I can't get back yesterday or last minute, last hour.
No.
Time I can never buy back. So it's kind of those things where, especially in pre-construction, that you kind of get to see, it's like, okay, like, we're doing it this way. Like, I've done it on other projects like this, and this is how we're going to sequence it, because me putting this here now will save me over here later. And I think having that super perspective so early on is so important. And it just kind of shows, like, okay, like, you're going to be building the job your way, but there's a reason behind that, and you're protecting that job at all costs.
You ever heard of Timescapes?
No.
I'll see if I can connect you. I'm trying to get them on the show. They're actually in this workspace area here. It's Australian technology. Mm-hmm. He's the one that started it, and what he did was he started time-lapsing video construction sites, high-rise construction sites. Okay. He wasn't doing it for the flashy media portion of, you know, seeing a building erect, right, over time. He wasn't doing it. That's not what they do. That's a byproduct what they do. Right. They monitor the efficiency of the workers and the movement of material being brought up to each floor. So he basically comes on board. Their organization comes on board. They camera set up the structure from the very beginning. And they document the entire process, and they dictate on how you can be more efficient during the entire process. And so through their data collection process, they sell their software and they sell their ability to big corporations, huge corporations in construction here, to show them where you possibly can park cranes, where you can possibly set up each gate or what have you, based on their dissection of the drawing, so to speak. Right. It's an interesting thing. I'm trying to get them on the show to discuss it. But yeah, Timescapes, if you ever get a chance, you can go online and just look at it. I don't know if it's like timescapes.com or whatever, but they're just on the other aisle there. And I was fascinated by that because he started as a time-lapse company, but then he realized I'm data collecting. That's what I'm doing.
Right.
I know exactly how efficient that crane is. I know exactly how efficient the supers are on scheduling loads and all kinds of shit. He goes, I can tell you exactly what it is. And that data is hugely valuable to big corporations, right?
Oh, massive. And I don't see why other construction companies wouldn't want to take that, because it's just...
There's a fee attached to it, but then if you delay the construction process and you don't find these efficiencies, then how much is that dollar value?
A lot more than if you didn't do it now.
I think so.
Yeah, a lot more than if you did it now. Right. And like, even going back to your point, like even after pre-construction for me is like, if I had to take on a job, right, I think getting every single major trade on site before shovel goes to ground, I think is crucial.
That would be amazing, but I don't know how likely.
I know, because I've heard things about, contracts being delayed, not signed, this and that. That's kind of something that's just common. Like I get it. But I would always want that, because I want them to actually physically drive there and physically see it and physically see me. Because that shows that, like, guys, it's gonna start, it's gonna go, and when I want to fucking go. Like it's gonna go on all cylinders, and it doesn't matter if it's forming, if it's tile. Obviously, in the beginning, bigger trades, right? Like in the superstructure, I would want them there. But for me, if it was my projects and I was running them, I want to know every single foreman all the time.
Yeah.
And I have one rule with foremans: I only speak to one person per company. I don't speak to, he's just in charge of this, and one person. Because my old boss actually taught me that. He says, when you want to be able to manage a job and less stress, you should have one point of contact, per trade, for everything. He says that's what we pay them to do. They provide me a service. They don't have to give me 600 people to call. If this mechanical company is my direct contact, I'm only speaking to one person, because it's easier for me to communicate with one person and they spread their information accordingly to all their subs than I got 600 subs calling me. And like, that's one big obstacle I've learned too in the industry, where it's that, like if I'm speaking to tile guys or the flooring company for that matter, you guys take care of floor leveling, take care of, LVT, tile, one person. That's it. Because it's your job in your company to manage your own company. Like, I'm not going to go manage your tile setter and then call your flooring guy to help schedule him with the floor leveling so he doesn't go ahead of himself and backwards. No, one person.
That's an old school low rise trick where I learned early on, you never deal with husband and wife, or husband and husband, or wife. I don't give a shit, right? But you never deal with two. You always command them to say one.
One person.
One person gives me one final decision, because they will play with that game of going back and forth to delay things or delay payments or delay decisions, and it just creates more delay. Absolutely. So if you just up front, right at the beginning, you decide, I'm not in your marriage, you decide who's going to be the point person who has the final say on anything. You discuss it between each other, and then you give me the final answer. Once I get that final answer from the point person, then we move forward. It's the same thing. You have it. That's a valid, and that's a strong one too.
Yeah,
it moves things faster.
A lot faster. And like, I know the schedule. I know where you got to be. And these companies come on, and I really hate in the industry when people come and say, call my guy. No, not happening. You're the foreman. You've taken on a job in this company to run your crews and run your material, your labor, your equipment. Yeah. Because any construction contract has three elements. It's labor, material, and equipment. So if I'm hiring you for a service, those three items are in your scope of work. Like, if I tell you, you have to be here on this date and I need you to do this, I'm not calling your guy to remind him. Like, one big thing too for me is I don't speak to too many workers on site. I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it. I do day to day, but I prefer only foremans, because I can talk to a worker and he can say one thing, but the foreman says another.
It's rumor mill at that point. And you don't need to be part of rumors and shit.
No, especially with how much is going on per day on any job. My one point of contact, this is my information. Like a lot of guys too, I'll either text them a list or I'll physically write down a sheet of paper. I'll take a picture of it. Here's my list for the day. This is priority. I'll start. This is priority. This is not. This, when you got time, work on it. Call me when it's done. I'll come take a look. Or if I see it ahead of time, I'll check it off. Like, I want to keep it as simple as possible. And like, a lot of jobs now are becoming very complicated. A lot of moving elements, a lot of different trades. But
it's not complicated because of construction. It's complicated because of what?
Because of people.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something. The hardest thing that I've learned in 6 years of doing this job, managing construction is easy. Managing people and personality is the hardest thing I have ever done by far. Because those personalities are the ones that are able to implement the construction. Yeah. And they just, like, there's so many different personalities with people. Who's having a shit day, who's having a great day, who doesn't like you because of the hat you wear or the cologne you got on today, right? Like, it's just, I try to eliminate that at the source because it drives me nuts, because it's not, like, you should just be worried about the work.
Yeah.
Like, I shouldn't have to deal with your personal personality, right? And it's just like, you leave that at home. Like, when we're on the job, I just want work.
If you come to work, everybody's got problems.
100%.
If it's a major problem, let's say there's an illness or something, I don't know, it's like a major problem, right?
Right.
Technically, you shouldn't be at work. Because you're too distracted, and that's a risk on a safety level.
Right.
But it's a risk on the company level, because you might make major mistakes that will cost the company later on. Exactly. So if it's minor, every day you're coming in, there's traffic, you're coming in, I can't stand liberals, like that kind of mentality, then that's just banter. You're just shooting the shit, and I don't care. Stay focused on the job and do the job. But yeah, if divorce is pending, family loss, shit like that, that's different, man.
Right.
You take your day off and you move on to somebody, like, come back when you're ready to come back to.
Because I think it actually goes deeper than that. It's people's personalities on how they view the job. Oh, well, I've done this before.
That statement should be removed from the construction glossary, man.
100%.
I've been doing it for this long. I've done it this way for this long. I don't give a shit about how that all is, right? There's different ways of doing this from now on.
Yeah, like, to me, it means fuck all. Because, like, when people come up to me and they're like, oh, man, like, this general contractor, you guys are garbage. These consultants don't know what they're doing, this and that. What I tell people sometimes, like, the amount of time you just spent fucking around and talking to me, you could have got something done.
Stop being chained to your construction company. That's what Revelate delivers to contractors like you who are trying to figure out AI and automations. I hear it all the time with guys I talk to, and it sounds like they spend way more time on things that waste money. Here's how Revelate does it. They study your business, they build custom AI software and automation tech to fit your process. They train you and your staff so you can save 50% of your time on the stuff that slows you and your projects down. You got into the trades to build things, not to be buried under endless admin work and broken systems. I know every day feels like you're solving the same problems instead of moving forward. That's why Revelate was created. They grew up in the construction industry and have been a part of it for more than 15 years. They know the grind and they work to fix it. Within weeks, you and your team and your business are saving half of your time on the stuff that keeps you from getting home and enjoying life. No more nights buried in the paperwork, just more time building and living. Stop being stuck in chaos. Let Revelate help you build something better. Book a demo. It's an easy chat and it's free. Book time now. www.revelate.com or on IG at revelate.inc or call them at 416-474-5755. This message is proudly supported by the Construction Life. Let me ask you, Adam, what's more valuable in your eyes, like in the scales of construction? What's more valuable? You take off to somewhere in the world for a symposium that teaches you how to do something new and interesting and vibrant that will actually streamline and be more efficient for construction. Mm-hmm. And you're there for like a week or two talking to some of the world leaders doing that shit. Yeah. Or someone saying, I've been doing this for 20 years. My thought process is a symposium and learning about new. I think that's more valuable than I've been doing this for 20 years. Because if you've been doing something wrong for 20 years, it doesn't mean that you're a perfectionist at doing something wrong.
Right.
It just means that you've been doing it wrong for 20 years. So we have to evolve in construction. Simple as that.
And I love it too, because even to your point, it's like if you go in the dictionary, if you look up insane, it's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Yeah, I know.
Like, they're literally insane.
So that's construction.
That's construction, right? And that's just kind of how it goes. And
I had that resistance early on. I kept on butting heads with this is how it's always done. Old school guys, right? Like, and pretty intimidating guys. Big parts of the construction process. Like, basically background extras for Sopranos. You know what I mean? Like these kinds of guys, right? Yeah. And I would butt heads with them, and then I'd have other people to go, and you realize who the fuck that is? And I'm like, well, listen, based on my conversations with engineers and architects, this is how I want to handle this process, right?
Right.
And I encouraged, I wanted more of that shit. I've said it over and over where I was like, I don't care if it's your first day or your last day. I will listen. Right. So you have to listen to get new ideas. I don't care about it's. Right. If it works and it's been done that way, it's great. Then do it. Then don't complain.
Exactly.
But that can't be your fail-safe solution for everything.
Exactly. And I just like when I see guys on site and, you know, like there's a lot of guys I work with, like, don't get me wrong, like very open-minded, very understanding, willing to learn. It's just these couple people where it's like, oh my God, man, like you keep rambling, you keep wasting your time. Like, it's like, guys, like if you won't do it, what I tell people, if you're not going to do it, I'll find somebody who will. Oh, I have a contract. And I say, okay. But my theory with that is another part of execution is if I can't get through to you, I keep going up and up and up and up until I get who I want. I've spoken to owners of companies before.
Everybody has a boss.
Who people are scared of. Yeah. And there's, not going to lie, there's some of them who scared me too. But I kind of had the balls, for lack of better words, and just called them and say, listen, guys, I have a problem on this site. And what I will say is, I don't want to talk about it on the phone. Let's come on site. I think it's happened twice in my life where owners of companies come on site to come see me personally. And it's just funny because as soon as they get out of that truck or whatever they're driving, Mercedes, BMW, they come out, come shake my hand. Twice, I've seen those foremen sprinting across the job site. Oh, hey, Adam, yeah, I got that thing done for you, this and that. And I just go dead silent because I know what he got done.
It's already been resolved.
It's already been resolved. I've already taken that step.
Yeah.
I've already taken it. And now, especially now where I'm at today, I don't care. I'll keep doing it because what I want to show owners is that I want to get the job done. If I get the job done, you're getting paid. And you're getting paid like primo, like nice.
The objective, you know what I mean? Is like to do the job well and get paid and then rinse and repeat.
Exactly. And what I try to show the owners when I do these walks is I need to be here. Listen, I know there's contracts and drawings. I usually like to take guys aside. Say, listen, man to man, this is what I'm thinking. I need more manpower. I need a little bit more material. I need you to crunch it down a bit. What can you do for me? Both of those guys I spoke to, both of them said, you got my support. I'm talking like bringing 25 people the next day, shipments of material. All of a sudden, work is getting blasted on every corner. To me, that's pretty valuable. And I've only used that exercise twice because obviously I'm cautious of how far I take it. And if I'm calling an owner of a company, it better be like fucking like legit. Like it better be like there's a fucking heavy duty situation happening down here that like you need to be down here like now. And then like I explain it to them and I keep it short and sweet. And then when I see them, I explain that. It's just simple. Like no pictures, no emails. This is where I'm at. I'm here. You need to be here.
It's a discussion. Yeah. Simple as that. That's how you solve. Exactly.
And one time I brought an owner down. It wasn't even technically their trade's fault, but I was trying to get occupancy. I said, listen, man, I need your help. Can you help me? I remember he looked around. He's like, how bad? I'm like, bad. I'm like, I need to get this occupancy. It has to happen. He's like, okay. He's like, email me everything. Tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., you'll have 2 more foremen, 16 more guys. He's like, I'm like, listen, anything else I could do? He's like, nothing. He's like, don't worry about billing. Just get it done. He's like, I want to be paid. And, I want to make sure I could, have a draw for the next draw. That's it. And that was like, that's fucking powerful. That's powerful. And he held his word. 2 foremen, 16 guys. Absolutely just a smash fest.
Took care of it.
Took care of everything. And he called me at the end of that day. The next day.
Yeah.
He's like, everything good? Yeah.
How were the workers and everybody? They were fine? They went in there, they did the thing, took care of it?
They were a little like, obviously, a little fucked up because, they're on a crunch, a hard crunch.
Yeah.
14, 16-hour day, 3-4 days in a row, like weekends. Like, yeah, it took a bit out of them. But I found it actually kind of funny because it was the foremans that were the funniest. Because for months of talking to them, trying to get stuff out of them, couldn't get it. I would call them, answer my phone right away. And there's foremans that I've interacted with up to this day where they just don't answer my calls. But when I make that call upstairs, see how fast I come running back. And I love it. I thrive on that. I love it. Because when they see that, I try to show them, especially with talking about my age before, that I'm younger, that like bottom line, lack of better words, I don't fuck around. It's going to happen. If you like it, if you're with me or not. If you're with me,
I'm not going anywhere, right? Like, do they not realize that's part of the equation here?
And with these guys, it's better to work with me than not. Because like there's a couple of guys I've interacted with like in the past where I'm like, you don't want to work with me? I'll make your life a living hell. And you won't like it. Because I will outwork you in a way that you will not be able to breathe. You won't be able to come out for air. Because I'm protecting that job.
You have to work with each other. That's what I mean, is that you have the power to make it move fast or slow, which connects to the payment process of things, right? That's the problem about it.
Payment's an issue. It always is. And I think it always will be. But like I see payment as like just tactics sometimes. Like we all know, like people will hold money to do certain things, to push guys in a certain way.
Of course.
I personally try to actually exclude myself from payment conversations. Because me being a super day-to-day, I know when a trade gets paid and when they don't, and see like the repercussions on site. Like I see that, but I try to stay away from it because also too, like that's why I have like a PM team. Like I explain to them, if either they don't get paid or the CCO doesn't go through, whatever the case may be, there's going to be implications on site.
Yeah.
And me personally, I try to more present it to my team and say, this is the situation. And I personally try to tune myself out of it because I don't like talking with people with money. Because money is something that doesn't go into my pocket, into his pocket. It goes into your owner's pocket. So I try to keep that for ownership. And executives and owners, they can all deal with that.
But you're part of a team that's contributing to the withdrawal of money. Transfer.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Without your assessment and things moving forward,
right.
So if you don't move it forward, then it contributes to their delays of being payment, right?
No, absolutely. And it just comes down to the fact that I try to eliminate as much as I can. Not like I'm very aware of what's happening.
Yeah. I
try to not make these trades go off the path, because if a trade didn't get paid for a month, they're still on site. It takes about I'm going to say about 3-4 draws until they really kick the can.
Yeah.
Right. But usually what I speak to my team is that I try to give some reassurance to these foremen and owners and trades that, guys, like the team's working on it. It's in discussion. So I try to give them some hope, but I'm not like, they cannot lose the common goal, which is the job, because they think now, oh, if we're not getting paid, I'm not going to do nothing. No, you technically you still have a contract.
Yeah.
And that's something too. I try not, all these trades, I love when trades say, oh, did you read the contract? I'm like, buddy, did I read it? I know it. And I studied tons of class in college that know how those contracts are written. CCDC 5A, 5B, 17, 2A, cost plus, whatever you want to call it, stipulated price, unit price. Like, I know. Like, don't talk to me about contracts, because I know. But bottom line, you're here to do the job. We have offices that we pay through our companies that deal with paperwork. Okay? Until instructed otherwise, you continue to do so. Don't lose track on what's going on. Listen, I've had a foreman's come and say, listen, dude, I need this approved because I'm not going to get the makeup air or these fire dampers I won't get. That's different. Like stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, I'll push that through hard because I know I need it. But when it comes to big stuff, like especially when it comes to like overtime, delayed claims, I keep away from that because that distracts the common goal. And also too, I tell most foremen, it's like delayed claims, yeah, you presented your information to your office, but they deal with it. Now it's just us. Like that's off your plate now. Like keep moving, right? Like there shouldn't be any other conversation we had.
They should understand there's a slight disadvantage there, because the thing is, you're coming from paperwork and your team is coming from paperwork.
Right.
And most of the time, blue collar on boots on the ground is not coming from paperwork.
Right.
They're not proficient in it, right? They will eventually, but you're already proficient in it, right? So it's just like, I wouldn't even pick that battle. It doesn't make much sense to pick that battle, right?
No, and like and that's what I was saying before, like I just try to avoid it. Like I think that like money gets people tense.
Of course.
It obviously it gets people on edge, and like how I see a super is, if you're a superintendent, your priority is time, not money.
Yeah.
You still have to worry about money. Like don't get me wrong, there's still schedule impacts, cost impacts. You got your GE conditions. Like there's a lot of things that are part of being a super where you have to worry about money. But as I said before, like time you can't get back. So like we need to keep moving forward, like keep the bus going. And what I tell my PMs, which is actually a quote I saw a while ago, was between a PM and a super, for them to work the best, is a project manager keeps the lights green, the super drives the bus.
Yeah.
That's it. Like if we work in tandem together, which I have to say I'm very fortunate. I've worked on teams where, in general, that they've worked well like that, right? Like we address the situation to them, they work on the paperwork side, whatever it is, and they push it to get it to us so we can do our thing. And that's usually how it should be, right? You know, there's always mistakes and shit happens on jobs, whatever, but for the most part, that's what helps push the job and get it forward, right? And it's just that, like, a lot of people don't understand that, especially trades where it's, you know, you need, if you're a foreman, I need you full focus on the job. You need to focus on the job. The paperwork, yeah, are we involved in it as site guys? Absolutely. But we don't make that call. But I know one call you can make, and is to push the fuck out of this job. That's one call I know you can make, and I can make that too. But like, let's push it together.
So, okay, so you opened up, you shared a little bit about how the project should get started. You shared a little bit about how the project should run. Right. How you closing out the project?
Well, I'll start from
ideally,
occupancy.
Double rainbow, trades are all happy, everybody's coming along, right?
Well, I was starting occupancy meeting 6 months before occupancy. So, like, I know the schedule. I know
how quickly does the first one go in? I guess it depends on how many floors, but
yeah,
at what
like
point?
If you want to separate podium level, maybe like.
Okay.
Typically, what I've seen is podium will go first, the rest of the tower will go second. I've been part of occupancies where there's like a bunch of buildings and they separate them in different stages. Like this one will go first with this one, then another one here, another one there. Typically, I would say about 2-3 occupancies, 2-3 occupancies per building, give or take. But again, it depends on how many stories, to your point, like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right? If it was my job, I would like to smash out the podium first. Podium, I want to give off the lobby. I want to give off second floor, usually up to 7 or 8 is where your podium sits, and then you go typical. But first occupancy is always the hardest. That's why I want the trades on board, in the beginning. Because when they're on board, they need to understand that, oh, okay, like, especially I love it when Sparky say this, that, oh man, like fire alarm's good up to 8. I know, but you have a fire alarm loop that goes up to the mechanical. And most municipalities in the code, that even though if I'm occupying 2 to 8, I need the mechanical penthouse has to be fully up and running. Most trades obviously know that, like they get it, but they tend to either skip on things or not pay attention to certain things that are happening where that's going to affect the mechanical penthouse. So I always like to talk about the mechanical penthouse. If it was my own job, mechanical penthouse for sure. Ground floor for sure. Lobby, CACF rooms, amenity spaces, depending on where they sit. I would want all that in the conversation. Another big thing for me, parking levels. Parking levels, parking levels, parking levels. People tend to just form them, throw up a couple ducts.
Wouldn't they be fully waterproofed and completely done by then?
Yeah, they are, but a lot of people forget, oh, fuck, traffic topping. Oh, I got to do sealers. Okay, now we got the exhaust fans in the garage. We got to wire up to the CACF room. Like some of these things, they don't get forgotten, but they're not put on like priority.
Attention aspiring tradespeople and entrepreneurs. Looking to break into the skilled trades or start your own home service business? Meet TradeLinks Consulting, your go-to partner for success. At TradeLinks Consulting, they're passionate about helping you find the right trade, build your business, and mentor the next generation. Whether you're exploring your options or ready to take the plunge, they offer tailored career consulting and startup guidance to get you on the right track. Visit them at www.tradelinkconsulting.ca today and book your personalized strategy session. Your future in the skilled trade starts here. This message is proudly supported by the Construction Life.
Oh, we're working on it. But I'm like, dude, I need you to finish, because if you don't finish, I can't call in for VI. If I don't get VI reports, I'm not calling it an occupancy. So these are things I like to kind of, if I had the chance, I would gear everybody up way beforehand. Say, listen, I will literally take them on site. What's the status of the fans? What's going on? Putting them in, when Sparky come in, wire them up, so I can call in VI, like fans, like traffic topping. Like I'll bring the guys down. Like, you got 3 levels of traffic topping to do. You know, like, let's get it going. Because without traffic topping, I got to do line painting. So I got to paint lines. It means I have to give people their parking spots. So I got to paint. That's part of code. I have to give it to them, right? So even to a lot of people tend to miss, which I've seen, is elevator lobbies. They tend to get like abandoned. I don't know why. I don't know why. In all the jobs I worked on in my career, they either just get left out and people forget. And I just found it very strange. Like almost every single job I'm like, why is every single like these elevator vestibules just get like left behind? I don't know why. But like stuff like that.
It's just an overthought or something, but it doesn't make any sense. You gotta. Yeah. Do you not think about the path of the person that's occupying the unit and how?
Trades? I don't think, no. I think they for some reason, everyone's just so gung-ho about suites and mechanical. Like, like that's where the general drive goes. I would say 90% of manpower is devoted to that. But like for, you know, a big thing too I've noticed in my career is like automatic door operators. Huge problem. I don't know why I've always encountered this. They've just been a consistent nightmare for me. And that's one thing that's part of occupancy too, because that's a barrier-free path to travel. So when they're in, they got to operate, doors got to latch, it's got to open on command. I've had doors warped, bent, operators not working, just you name it. Just over a span of years, like just stuff I've seen. Like that has to be fully commissioned, right? Like there's stuff like that people forget.
So if you see a door that's warped or bent or damaged, it was installed that way, or it was damaged after the fact it was installed?
98% of time trades. Banging buggies into it, who put a little piece of wood at the top of the door, warped now the hinge. Now I got carpenters with hinge benders all over the place trying to fucking warp it back. Latches don't work, electric strike wiring wasn't ran. The fob access for security was not ran properly to the ADO. I can go on and on about it.
Holy cow.
Like those, I just, for some reason, in the last 6 years, I just seen those just be a consistent nightmare. And I wouldn't even blame like the trade installing them, because half the time the guy comes to me like, it's not ready. And I'll be like, yeah, you're pretty much right, yeah. I can't even argue. You're right. Because, you know, there's a miscoordination on drawings. There's, you know, like there's not enough power provided or none at all. All these kind of things kind of start up, right? And it's just like, okay, like that's one big problem. So I like to kind of have that conversation. And finally, with just everyone in general for closing out a job, like I tell the guys, like, I'll buy you lunch every day. I'll buy your crew lunch every day, whatever you guys want. I need your full commitment. Saturdays, Sundays, if have to, overtime. I need your help. It's a big thing. I almost beg them. I'm like, guys, I will go on my hands and knees and beg you to help me, because it's the final stretch. And that's one way I try to sell it to guys. Like, guys, like, we're in the final stretch now. Let's finish off strong. Let's finish off right. No arguing. Let's work together. Don't damage someone else's shit because it's in your way. Mm. Talk to me about it. We'll sort it out. Work together. Let's figure it out. Let's finish. Let's finish. Let our offices deal with giving us the paperwork. But you need to complete the work for them to get the paperwork. Let's finish. Let's get ahead. I usually would like to give them a rough timeline of schedule. Like I've actually worked with one super that did it very well, where he would make tables in Outlook. This date, I require this paperwork. This date, require this. This date, require that. That went out to all the trades and all the consultants. And what that does is that shows everybody, I need to be ready by that date. So whatever my scope of work is, has to be done by that day. And then that actually worked out pretty well, because then people got to understand, it's like, okay, my paperwork's in, man. ESA is in, whatever, VI is in, all my startup reports are in, whatever it is. And it's like, okay, now we all got it. And then we've timed our building inspections perfectly, where by the time that last walk happens, I get a thumbs up saying, okay, you're ready to occupy. And that's literally like, that's what I'm waiting for, is that one moment to get a thumbs up.
Let me ask you, Adam, about, okay, so now you've wrapped up the project. It's all good. Everybody's done. Am I wrong to say that the majority of the workforce walks away from the project and not look back, and they move on to the next project?
Yes.
And I say not look back because they really don't care too much about that project. I'm not trying to generalize here. I'm not saying that the majority of it is, but the care. Is the care disappeared once the job is done?
Yes.
It's a bad thing, no?
It is. And I noticed that when people hear we got occupancy, doesn't matter if it's the first or the third, the pace drops. And then a lot of these owners of trades say, okay, you know what? I don't need 55 guys on the job. I'm pulling 25 of them out. And
they're starting another one. And
yeah, they're starting another one. This one's already on slab. I need more guys for roughing. Send them away. Which, from a business perspective, I get. Like, you know,
keep everybody busy.
Keep everybody busy. You have other jobs that are now up in their rampage stage. Like, they're starting to ramp up quite heavily, which I understand. I just, like, yeah, like, the care's gone. Like, they think, okay, I got occupancy. I built the suite. I never go back. Then I feel bad for a lot of, like, the handymen, for a lot of these customer service people. Like, they go through a lot, because
I can imagine the deficiency list is huge at that point.
Oh, it's crazy, man. Crazy. Like, I've seen big deficiency lists, huge ones, and some of it's just like stupidity. Like, oh, like they forgot to caulk, you know, from the kitchen to the gable, like from your stone countertop to like the backsplash. something stupid.
And then you're getting your head bitten off as a trade who has to come back to do that. You're getting your head bitten off by the client who's just like reminding you of how much money they spent on this unit and how long they've been waiting for this unit in their lives and yada, 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 right? And then all of a sudden they get attacked and now they hate this process. But if you cared a little bit more during that stage, then you wouldn't even be here taking care of the deficiencies, right? That was my biggest thing in low rise. I don't come from high rise.
Right.
I never wanted to have a single deficiency period associated with any of my projects. I wanted to do the walkthroughs over and over and over and over. And whoever had to take care of shit, they had to take care of shit. When it was handed off, there was no issues. The clients loved it and they enjoyed it and moved on.
Right. And like for us talking about trying to improve things, like one big issue I see is that on a lot of jobs, not just ones I've been on or I've experienced in my career, but I've spoken to a lot of other supers that work elsewhere. The problem is that everyone drives so hard during occupancy, like quality just goes out the window. It's done. It's gone. It's tarnished. And they're like, I need to occupy. So they don't care if stuff's missing, like
that's the finish line.
Missing. Yeah, it's the finish line. Like it doesn't matter. Somebody else will clean it up. That's the mentality. Okay, we'll come back and fix it. Don't worry. Radio silence.
But that costs the company more money to get a person to call back, to handle a callback.
Well, that's where a lot of like the pissing matches start. Oh, well, the carpenter removed my trim, so the paint got damaged. Or,
pointing, that's all it is.
That's what it becomes. And like, I've seen deficiency lists go out where it's like, trades are like, I'm not touching any of that because someone else damaged my work. It's like, okay, well, like, is it possible? Yeah. Why don't we just, like, you're still part, like, this whole after-sales service or after occupancy is still part of your scope. So you have to allocate resources to get it done. Like, if I'm missing a window, I'm missing a window, buddy. Like, you know what I mean?
Like that's understandable, but I don't understand it, though. Like, I get it, but I find that in today's construction, the deficiency department is probably the fastest growing department in every construction company.
Oh, yeah.
So you got to start wondering, why is it the fastest growing department in every construction business?
Because occupancies are not planned properly. That's as clear as I could tell.
And what was it? I think you shared or something that you're talking about how most tradespeople have the mentality of that they're not paid to think.
Yeah.
So they just arrive on site and they have their blinders on. They do the scope of work that's getting done, and they're not paid to think about if I rerouted better here, or if I've spoken to somebody else, or if I worked with another trade, or if I work with the supers on site. This could have been avoided, and now it's not on the take it off the deficiency list. Don't leave it on the deficiency list.
Right, and I'm actually happy you said that because I've heard variations of that phrase so many times, and it drives me absolutely mental because you're paid to think. I don't care what anybody says. If you weren't paid to think, you would have no job.
No, you're not here voluntarily.
Yeah,
you're being compensated to be here.
Right, like your focus is here 8 hours a day. I need your full and undivided attention. Oh, I just get paid to hang cast. Great. That's fine. But you also get paid to raise issues. It doesn't matter if it's safety. It doesn't matter if it's a clash.
True.
You have to raise it, right? And like you have to be a team player. It bugs me to my core when I see guys saying, don't talk to me. I don't get paid to think. I just do this. I just walk away. I don't even care. And I'll go to the foreman and I'll say, straighten them out because I don't want to hear this shit. Because when you're on a job site, there's so many moving parts happening at once. And like even stuff with safety, like, people just leave shit on the floor, not tying off, whatever, this and that. Like bump lines, like just be like aware, like speak up and say, like, you can call me and say, listen, man, like there's no slab edge protection here. It fell down or something, or it's not screwed on right.
But when you're on the site, you're there for the project,
right,
and for running the site,
right.
But still, in the side of your eye, you're still looking for safety infractions. Like if something's going to happen, it's going to affect the project, especially if there's a fatality, if there's a critical injury. These are major things. So it's better to have 1,000 eyeballs on site paying attention to each other's backs and making sure that nothing happens, because the job moves a lot better. Plus, everybody gets to go home.
Right, and that's what I want, and that's how I want to run it and see it. But like, I just go on site sometimes. I'm like, it's literally just like, who's got a bigger dick contest? Oh, last night I watched the game, and then this and that. Did you play gambling last night? Did you play roulette or this or that? Like,
I go back to those small problems.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about. major problems. Everybody has major. The older you get, you're going to have more and more major problems in life, right?
Exactly.
And again, everybody has 1,000 problems until they only have one health problem, and then it becomes the only problem they have.
Exactly.
So it's like, I don't care about the small problems. That's why I never had conversations with anybody on site about marriages, addictions, shit like that. I'm like, these are like, you have to figure this out. I didn't have to deal with alcoholism. This is high rise. It's different. There's a lot of stuff. Everybody's going through shit, and I get it. But if you start bringing it to the site and it affects you or a coworker, and it gets to the point where it could become an injury of a coworker or yourself, then that becomes my big problem to deal with you.
Right.
Right. And we don't want that. But all the everyday little problems that are just like life in general.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be rude. I don't give a fuck, because you never asked me about my little fucking problems that I've got going on. And nor do I care about telling you about my fucking problems.
Exactly.
I'll go figure out my problems on my own, right? Big problems, that's a different story.
Can't agree more. And what I see with that too is, being a part of a team and really, watching out for everybody is you have to be mentally focused on site.
Yeah.
My thing is
too dangerous.
Phones. If it was me personally, I believe all personal phones should be banned from a job site. If I wanted to make a bit of an off-color comment, like no personal cell phones, no earbuds. Earbuds drive me mental. So I'm cranking that horn, and you got to get out of that building. How are you going to hear?
And I listen. When I started the show, I was very respectful. People were listening to and from driving to work, and I was like, "Great, all right, that's wonderful." You listen to the first half driving to one way, and then you listen to the second half the second way, right? Then I started hearing a lot of them with throwing the buds on and listening to a lot of shows now during the day, and I was like, "Great." But then I started thinking in the back of my head, I don't think that's a good idea. You're distracted. You're listening to a conversation. If it's actually engaging conversation, you're extremely distracted, which can create a safety hazard for yourself or somebody else. So I would agree with you 100% that if there's a danger and you can't hear it because you're listening to AirPods, whether it's a podcast or you're listening to music, that's not a good idea. So I would agree with you. Like, ban them all. Nobody should have them. And you shouldn't be having, unless it's an emergency contact. But they would contact you guys,
us,
our foremen.
Exactly.
Everybody in your life knows what job site you're on, because if you ever see some news on the whatever that so and so there was something, a situation, whatever, then your loved one's going to get a hold of you. They can get a hold of you, right?
And one thing too that I've seen companies do where they do kind of like a site orientation form. On the form, there's an emergency contact number.
Everybody,
something
you have to fill it out.
Right. You have to fill it out by law. You fill it out. Something happens, we will get a hold of somebody. Because I believe when you're at work, there's not that much more important that can be going on than you focusing on your job. Because that one time you pick up a phone, you're on a ladder, you fall down, you smash your face on the floor.
That's the time that something's going to happen.
And then a shitstorm starts.
Yeah.
Oh, well, he didn't know, or this and that, or wasn't paying attention. Like, it's unnecessary bullshit that we don't have to deal with. Like, let's just eliminate it. No phones. I don't like any.
I agree.
Even radios. Radios drive me mental. I was working with a super years ago. He hated radios, and I thought it was funny. He would pick up brand new, like DeWalt, Milwaukee radios. He's like, they go in my filing cabinet. Like, where's your filing cabinet? It's a 40-year bin outside. Throw it out. Bang. He used to say when trades used to come out with, extras and sign-offs, he'd be like, put it in my filing cabinet, Adam. Where's the filing cabinet? It's a 40-year bin outside. Throw it out.
40-year bin on site, man.
Yeah, and I've seen him throw, I could tell you like 10, 12 radios at least.
Everybody going dumpster diving and grabbing shit after the fact? Of course they are, right?
Yeah, and then my boss he was smart, he'd be like, yeah, call the bin off. Send them out.
Oh, so it goes right away.
Yeah, a couple guys lost their radios, but some guys managed to get it back after the fact, which I thought was always kind of funny.
Attention subcontractors and skilled trades. Are you looking for your next big opportunity? 2x2 Construction is expanding and is on the hunt to grow our top-tier network of professionals. Whether you're a carpenter, plumber, or roofer, etc., if you can deliver top-quality craftsmanship, offer competitive pricing, and your communication is where we shine, we want to hear from you. At 2x2 Construction, we value strong partnerships. From multiplexes to garden suites, we're all about building better together, and we want you to be a part of it. Reach out today at info@2x2construction.ca or connect with us on Instagram at 2x2construction. Join the 2x2 Construction team where great work meets great people. This message is proudly supported by the Construction Life. Did we cover everything? I think we covered quite a bit, but I just want to make sure that because we had such a great conversation. I was making notes, right? But I think we covered everything, no?
I think we did, man. I think...
I just want both sides of the fence to get along. It's simple as that, right?
And I think there's a chance, man. I think there's an opportunity that's going to happen. I just think
you young guys are the ones that are going to rule construction in the future.
Yeah.
I want the old guys to understand that shit.
Yeah.
All they can do is share information with you guys, but you guys are going to take it and make it your own. And in all fairness, I really hope you guys make it better.
I agree. And that's all I wish for, because I've seen like my grandparents, my dad, family break their back in this industry and really give it everything they got. And I believe we can do the same thing. I believe we could really push it to the limit. And a super I used to work with told me this, and this is what kind of brought me here and kind of explaining all this is, he told me, what is your limit? I'm like, I had to think about that one. I went back to him a couple days later. I don't have a limit. He's like, he was like smiling, he was laughing. He's like, yeah. And I think that's the mentality that needs to be brought up to everybody. He's like, guys, like, there's no limit. Don't limit yourself to nothing. Keep pushing forward. Days are going to suck. Job's going to suck. Life's going to suck sometimes. But it's that determination, the willingness to just get up, move forward. You will achieve great things. And in 6 years, I've come pretty far. I think I've done well for myself, and I'm still learning. I got another 40 years of this. If I can go longer, believe me, I will keep going longer.
To be fair, like Adam, to be honest, I think you still got another decade of people saying you're too fucking young, shut the fuck up.
Probably.
Which is unfortunate. Like, they'll take you until like mid-30s maybe, man.
Yep.
But by then you'd have so many more years of experience behind you and doing projects that worked out really well.
Right.
And yet those people haven't met you or worked with you on those ones. So then they'll look at you and they're like sizing you up going, you're too fucking young. I don't know what you're talking about, man.
Yeah. And I'm really hoping that in the future that, you know, I'll be where the tables turn, where people will have the respect they had for my old supers 20 years ago or whatever the case may be, that they treat me the same way. And there are still people to this day who do. And I still think that I'm still working on it. I'm still trying to get there, and got a long way to go, obviously, but it doesn't hurt the fact that, you know what, we're going to improve as an industry. We're close.
You have to, man. I really would love to see Canada construction thrive and be a leader. We are not a leader. That's the unfortunate thing. We're not a leader in construction in North America.
Right.
We need to get better.
But we have the capacity.
Oh, 100%. We have the workforce and the capacity to do so. We just are not, there isn't a guiding light right now. That's all. Hopefully it turns.
I think it will.
Yeah.
And I think with Canada being the known hardworking country that we are, I'm very confident that in the short term, even in the long term for that matter, like, we will go far. We will go far.
I just want to go through, I want to make sure that before I ask you all this stuff, right? So, I mean, we talked about a bunch of shit. We just getting along, everybody working together, just sharing the whole truth.
Yep.
Good construction is about management and understanding how to be people person, 100%.
Yeah.
You gotta still understand people. I don't care about your fucking little personal problems.
Yep.
Because I've got my own, and to be very honest, you don't care about mine. So.
Yep.
Occupancy, yeah. So you were like talking about how it doesn't take hours; it takes days.
It does. Always.
Because think about it. Also, the size of the structure, right?
Correct.
It's going to take a long line. You can't just quickly turn your blind eye and just. The client is eventually going to bring it up, so don't let them bring it up.
That's right. When you know about the problem, you deal with it on the spot. No waiting. Don't care what time of day it is. Get it done. I
always make jokes about how it's like even Stevie Wonder could see that shit. And if he could see it, then, you know, let's address it right now, right?
Yeah.
What is it? You brought that up, which is great. It's not a money thing. I'm sorry. I just don't want to go there because I want to make sure we covered everything, right? So, and you still got to prove yourself on every single job. You get on site, it's almost like you did a rock star, you got a gold star. Do they still hand out gold stars, like in gold stars in class anymore or whatever? That was the thing back in my day. You get
my sister's a teacher, I'll ask her, but I have no idea. Maybe, probably.
But it's like you did a great job on that job. Yeah. Like the word's going to get around, but the thing is you get on a new job and now you're treated exactly like it's like, but I'm Michael Jordan, I don't understand. I did it really well. No, I don't know who the fuck you are. So it's like, I treat you still, you got to prove yourself on that job.
Well, I think about it like this. Like when I go to prove myself and the pressure's on, like one quote I heard a long time ago, it's pressure is a privilege, means things are expected of you. So when I get that pressure, that heat, I embrace it, I take it. And whatever happens, happens. And hopefully that people see that, like that persistence in me and that I'm pushing to make that job happen, they will gain more respect for me because I'm there to help them just as much as they're there to help me.
You got a stressful position, no? You got a lot carrying, no?
Yeah, like I'm not gonna lie, like it's very stressful. It is. And I can tell you, man, there's times that I'm talking to my girlfriend, I'll zone out. I'll just start thinking about, okay, tomorrow this is going to happen. I got this delivery. Well, client's coming. I got to make sure this is done. My brain is on a constant roller coaster. But you know what the funny part is, Manny, is it's like a thrill. Like when I finish an occupancy and I'm like, wow, that was hard and this and that was crazy. But part of me sometimes too, I'll be like on site, I'll be like, I miss it. But yes, is it stressful? Is it painful? Is it extremely long hours? Does it basically take a beating on you? Of course
it does.
But it's me loving the industry so much that it's like, you know what? I want it. Bring it on again. Let's do it again. That's why I say pressure is a privilege. Like, I think it just shapes you, molds you, right?
I agree. Just making sure. Oh, we didn't even get into this. It's just like, I know that this came up when we were talking about the whole nepotism construction. Certain individuals just being given certain duties or titles just because it's been handed down to them instead of actually earning it, right?
I'm actually happy you brought that up. It's a great way to end it off because that's one that kind of gets me too. So
I know of certain somebodies, and people have been made attention to me, and I was like, I disagree with it because I think that they should come from boots on the ground instead of just being handed the position.
Yeah, like I believe like you need to go through the trenches. You need to basically break your back to really truly appreciate these higher up roles and the prestigious roles, if you want to call it. And like, I've worked with a bunch of people where I'm like, fuck, you deserve better than what you are, because they're just not given that chance. And especially with the conversation of me being young and in a super's role, right? Like there's people that are so hardworking. Maybe they don't have like the knowledge yet, or they don't have the understanding, but they will literally take the shirt off the back for you to prove why they deserve to be there. I believe that is priceless. Hard work will beat talent 9 times out of 10. I've met some very smart people that I'm like, you do not deserve to make $400,000 a year. It's the truth. Yeah. And like, there's some people where it's like, you know, you're making peanuts, but that guy will devote his life to you. And I believe people in just, not even in construction, just in life, people need to really appreciate people that give it their all. Because I'll tell you for a fact, I've given up a lot to be where I am, right? But like, I treat it as, what's the ultimate sacrifice? What's your goal, right? And there's so many good people that sacrifice so much to get where they are, but they don't get recognized. Yep. All I do is wish, I know I can't control the world, but I wish that there's people that say in higher up positions saying, that guy, he gave up everything for the company. He gave up everything. And we want him because he's going to fight for us day in and day out. And, you know, it is sad because I've seen in different companies, even just as an outsider, I'm like, why is that guy in that position? Why does he deserve it? Like, why? When I can think of, exactly, didn't earn it. Yeah. Or, you know, he brown nosed somebody and all of a sudden he's at the top. But like, I've worked with a lot of great people where I'm like, you deserve to be like a president of a company. Like, I've worked with, like, I'll just give you kind of a quick background. Like, I worked with 3 great supers. One, he was about 60 years old school as old school can get. That guy would be smarter than anybody on a job site. He was rough, but he cared, and he mentored me. So I got a special spot for him in my heart. Another super, which I worked with too, extremely intelligent. Like, he, like, analytically, a machine. Very smart. He can be tough when he had to be, but he will work with anybody, and he will show you anything to help you succeed. He put me ahead of himself, which that's a person also that I believe should be shown and recognized. Yeah. Right? Because like, people don't talk about these people that literally put their own jobs on the line, or, you know, their wives are calling, we got to come home for dinner, but they're having a conversation with me because they want to show me and other people the best way to run this job, or the best way to be the best version of yourself in this role. Right? And then lastly, there was another super I worked with not too long ago where probably mid-40s, he was probably the most hardworking person I've ever met in my entire life. He was an immigrant. He came here. He proved himself. He was on a chipping gun. He says, Adam, the first tool I ever had was a chipping gun. Be chipping all day. Now he's a superintendent, doing very good for himself, extremely intelligent, and he will outwork anybody. And he told me, he's like, you have to be strong and resilient. Resilient was the word he always used, resilient. He met that word. If he was in the Oxford book, his face would be right on it as resilient, because he just would never give up. He would fight every trade tooth and nail, no matter what time. I've seen him work Sunday night, Saturday night, all hours of the day, not sleep. He would never give up, but he got what he wanted. He got his occupancies. And he proved to everybody, he proved it to me too. Like, you know, like I love working with him, and all three of them for that matter, but especially with him because he took me under his wing. He's like, I want you to succeed more than I succeed. And I said, no, why don't we just succeed together? Why don't we work together and get this done? And we went through a job and we got it done. And we moved on. Right. And I just think people like those three people in particular, I think deserve to be recognized.
They should be running things.
They should be running things in very high levels because they have the capacity not only to be very good at what they do, but they're very good at showing people and mentoring people. I think mentoring, especially, with the conversation we're having about being young, being in the industry, they've mentored me.
Yeah.
And I've tried to show the same thing to even younger people now. But those people are priceless. Priceless. You cannot put a dollar figure on it. Because those three people, I would take my shirt off my back for them. I would vouch for them because they are the reasons why the industry will be good, or we're going to be okay because of those guys.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Right.
I just want to make sure that I think I covered all of. Dun, 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 dun. Yep. Ready for the 12 questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
A person you would trade places with for a day?
Probably my grandfather. Probably for a day. When he was in the 60s running his carpentry company. I'd probably love to see that.
Guilty pleasure?
Cologne. I got a lot of it. Love buying it. Wear it all the time. Typical Italian, old school mentality of that. Wear a bunch of it. That's me.
What is that one from Anchorman? The Panther? Was it the Panther or something like that?
Panther.
Remember Anchorman? The Ron Burgundy. Sorry, Ron Burgundy.
I told you I haven't seen it. I haven't actually seen it.
No.
I heard of it.
There was Paul Rudd talking about, he's got like this special cologne that he's like 60% of the time it works. Right? Or some shit. And he goes, it's actually got real Panther in it or something. I can't remember exactly. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
What is your least favorite tool?
A computer.
A computer?
Computer.
You realize you're Site Super, right?
Yeah. I'll tell you why, though. It's that computer takes time away from me walking that job.
It's true.
My favorite tool? My favorite tool is my phone.
Yeah.
That's where all the magic happens. Yep.
Biggest risk you ever took?
Going back to a company for the second time.
Yeah?
Yep. When I graduated, worked for a company. I left there to go to the high-rise company. I went back to my old company for more money. And then I went back to the high-rise company, and I've been there ever since. That was the biggest risk I ever took the last time.
Best compliment you ever got?
You're a ball breaker.
It's a compliment.
Yep.
Favorite beverage?
A Negroni, hands down.
Yeah?
Yep.
What never fails to make you laugh?
My coworkers and my buddies.
Worst piece of advice you ever got?
Got a lot of it.
I'm sure.
Follow the process.
Not in construction, man. Process is different every time.
That's right.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt one day?
Car mechanic, by far.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Favorite curse word?
Fuck.
What is your favorite vehicle? Any mode of transportation?
1997 Mazda RX-7.
Are they bringing out a newer version and look like shit?
Yeah, I think they're bringing in like an RX-9. It looks all wonky and stuff, but rotary engine, so love the sound.
Then they did that stupid third door thing.
Yeah.
What the fuck was all that about?
Yeah, it's all selling tactics, right?
You guys had such a jewel, and all of a sudden you guys did this.
Yeah.
Last question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at those pearly gates?
You played your part. You played your part.
That. Thanks, Adam. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you,
taking the time for coming on the show, reaching out, and then talking about something that we haven't really spoken too highly on the show.
Absolutely.
About it. But I have a lot of respect for high-rise workers, and I think that if we all just work together, we can actually build a lot better.
Absolutely.
Simple as that, right? You can still hate each other. Just keep it quiet. Simple as that, man.
Just keep it moving, man. That's all I tell people. Keep it moving, man.
You guys can reach him out at Bernardi_713, and that's it, man. Good luck with you got a current project. Yeah, you always got to.
Always got a job.
Yeah, no. And we're keeping it quiet. We don't want to talk about it. And there's lots. Basically, look up. Everybody look up. There's lots of hardworking individuals, men and women, tradespeople that are working in these places, and they're doing what they can, and they're providing these units for lots of people, right? So
that's right. and we're not going to stop. We're going to keep going.
No, there's a lot of work going on. So thanks, man. We're out of here.